Pretend. There we go. Welcome everybody to Cabin Fever Reliever, ACW's online Zoom sessions this winter. I am your host, co-director Kelly Frankenberg, and tonight we have our second session called Joyful Aging with comedian Dr. Karen Williams, tuning in from Cleveland. Yes?
Yes.
All right, I am going to let you take over and I'm going
Okay.
to spotlight you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really happy that all of you decided to come here this evening. This is so reminiscent of all the work that I was doing during the COVID pandemic when everything was on Zoom. And this is really a pleasure. I'm actually putting myself on gallery because I like to see everybody. So thank you so much for coming. And yeah, joyful aging. What a concept, huh? I'm going to share a little bit of my story. I'm a comic. I've been a comedian for 42 years, and I travel all over the world. I work a lot on ships, and just have had the most magnificent career. I started when I'm 31. I'm now 73. I heard you, Craig, when you said we just don't have it like that anymore, but I'm here to tell you there's 5 generations alive in my family and have been my entire life. My parents are still alive. They're 91 years old, and I'm a great grandmother. So it's
Mm.
been really thrilling to have my own living laboratory of people to really see if this concept of aging joyfully is even possible. And I get to see that it really is. So I will just start out by saying welcome to everyone. My experience is that during the COVID pandemic in 2020, I was in at the Villages. Some of you may be aware of the Villages down in Florida. My last comedy gig was it was a leap year, February 29th, 2020. And I had applied to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, to a PhD program in November 2019 and didn't think any more about it because I had my tours coming up. And sure enough, I got back from that gig in the Villages and my tour was completely canceled because of COVID-19 pandemic. A week later, I get an acceptance letter from Miami University that I've been accepted into their doctoral program in social gerontology. I'm here to tell you,
Wow.
I had no idea what social gerontology was, but I got an apartment down in Oxford, and in May of 2025, I graduated with a PhD in gerontology. I
Woohoo!
started at 68 years old, and I graduated when I was 72. The only other person in the class who was even close to my age was 30. So, and most of my teaching, I had to teach for 2 years while I was there. Most of the students were 18 and 19 years old. So I got a chance to not only find out what social gerontology is, but to become an expert, because that's what getting a doctorate is all about. So what I decided is because I already have an institute called the International Institute of Humor and Healing Arts, known as HaHa Institute, and I am always spreading the word about the healing power of humor, I decided to challenge myself to create workshops that I call Aging Joyfully. And so the premise of that is that joy is a positive emotion that comes from within. And so, for many of us, especially in our culture, we look for joy outside of ourselves. And it is possible to bring out our own joy when we are in nature, when we are helping others, when we're doing altruistic acts. It is indeed possible to bring out that joy. And yet, I wanted to just go a little bit deeper to really delve into what does it mean to age joyfully, because one of the things that I found out by doing this social gerontology course is that gerontology is the study of aging. Social gerontology talks more about the culture of aging. And in American culture, where we are a youth culture, ageism is pervasive. We don't even realize how much internalized ageism we have. When you're a teenager, how many of you have children? When your teenager forgets their notebook on the table and calls you up and says, Mom, Dad, I left my notebook, we don't say they had a senior moment. We just say they forgot their notebook. But if we forget something, we say we had a senior moment. That's just one example of ageism. If you try to go and buy your friend a birthday card tonight and they're over 35, the cards are all going to be pretty negative in the guise of being funny. The breasts are going to be hanging. The testicles are going to be dragging the ground. You know, the women are going to look like witches. The men are going to look like, you know, it's horrible how we think about aging in this culture. And yet it's a natural consequence of living that we will age. And the reality is that many of us are living a very long time, not because we're healthier, we haven't gotten there yet, but because we've been assisted by medical interventions. There was a time in American history, when people died of arthritis. People died from diabetes. Things that now you can take a pill for or go get some PT. We have all kinds of mechanical devices that will help us maintain a longer life. And yet there's something internally that's pervasive in terms of how we face the aging process itself. So I'm just going to boil it down to the fact that joy is a positive emotion. It's essential, and it's absolutely essential for our survival, our well-being, and our health. So we have to find joy in our lives. Now, when I say find, we're all looking outside of ourselves. Where is it? Where can I find it? Well,
The muscle.
purpose and meaning come from within. And one of the ways to really ensure that you will live with joy throughout your life course is to make sure that you are in touch with your purpose and whatever meaning that you assign to your life. Okay? So one of the things that I really love doing in my work, my humor work, is really sharing with people that laughter is an expression of spontaneous joy. So I want, even though you're online here, I want you to close your eyes, and when I count to 3, I want everyone to just laugh for no reason at all. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready over there?
Unmute.
We're ready.
Okay.
Lisa.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We can laugh anytime we want to. It arouses the endorphins in our system. It really motivates. It's highly motivational. It oxygenates our bodies. Laughter is an access. We have access to laughter at any time that we so choose. Now, being Americans, we find it very hard to just laugh for no reason. You know, we're used to seeing somebody slip on a banana peel or some other kind of thing that induces laughter. But just like I just started laughing there, you can give yourself a laugh break. How many of you remember the Maharishi that came here with the Beatles many years ago? Mm-hmm. And he used to giggle. People thought, like, is he nuts? This man was hearing about disasters, wars, famines, all kinds of things going on in the world, and he would go, Those of you who meditate know he was throwing off all of that energy. So you have the same possibility. In other words, I say it to many people who are still working. If your boss gets on your nerves, you can go, not in their face, probably go in your office and do it. But that giggle, that laugh helps you not take in all of that kind of negative energy that's around us all the time. It's very challenging to be positive when you're in these environments where people are complaining. Most of what happens as we age, we begin talking about our ailments. Not a good introduction. Hi, my name is Karen and my knees ache today.
Yeah.
Not really a good introduction, right? but we find ourselves doing it and we're not even aware of why we do it. And those things become habits when we just insist upon defining ourselves by our physicality. Aging joyfully does not mean that we seek youth. There is something called youthfulness. We can remain youthful throughout our lives. That means that we have an attitude of curiosity. We don't assume we know everything. We're still open to experiment and to learn, just like youth. That's what we loved about youth, is that we would almost try anything until we found out that it didn't work, you know? So that's a youthful spirit, is that spirit of adventure and curiosity and experimentation. We don't have to lose that just because we get older. And so there's many things that I could share with you, but I have to tell you, I told Kelly, I don't want to just be a talking head. I also would like to address any, especially for you, Sandra, you said you have to go. If you have any kind of question or any kind of a specific situation that you're being challenged with, I would love for you to unmute yourself and feel free to share something about your experience or a question that you might have that relates to how do we use humor? How do we use laughter to provoke joy in our lives? Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Any of your people there, Anna, have a question or something you want to put in the chat? I can certainly look at that.
I don't
Otherwise,
have a question per se. I'm here because I'm really happy that I'm aging.
yes.
I'm happy that I'm allowed to be here.
Hmm.
Um, and I work with all different ages, and a lot of my clients right now are retiring and they're like nervous. And so
Hmm.
I'm trying to talk. I'm here to listen to you because what I say to them is basically finding purpose. I forget
Yes.
about joy. I go
Mhm.
into more purpose and maybe even learning something new. And
Right.
so when I heard this, I was like, oh, that is definitely so good for our brains and our body is
Mhm.
to definitely find joy. Um, so
Yes,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. And so what happens is this thing of retirement, it's part of our culture where, I live in the Midwest. I'm a New Yorker who moved to California. Two very different kind of areas, but there's nothing like this Midwest where people are taught almost to find that good job when they're 18 or 20, and then you're supposed to stay on it because you can get a pension when you retire, and then you retire and that's when you live.
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd trajectory from how my dad was an entrepreneur. He has 7 children. We're all entrepreneurs. Not saying it's such a great life, not knowing when you're going to get some money, but it's certainly an adventurous life. And I am not retired. I don't even look forward to retirement. I actually have work I love to do. So, what I say to people who are facing retirement, please have a plan. I am watching people retire younger and younger. A friend of mine just retired. She's 62. She lasted 3 months and she's gone back and gotten a job because some people can't figure out what to do with their lives if they don't have a job. Other
Mhm.
people decide to take up art or music or dance or pickleball, whatever it may be. But the reality is, you have to be able to think ahead for yourself. If you have been working a job that you don't like, then making that shift to doing things that you do like is going to take some time and a plan. And if what you like can bring you joy, and many people find joy by helping others. So that's why we have a very big kind of push towards volunteering when people retire or they just want to have some way to express their altruism. Many times we point them in the direction of volunteering. Again, it's inside job stuff. And we're not really acclimated towards looking within to see what is our dream? What would we really like to do with our time and our attention and our money? So, yeah, there you are. You're retired. You've got health care now and you've got money. What do I do? So
Yeah,
it,
that's interesting. I like what you just said because a lot of times I'll ask them what, as a child, what did you want to do?
that's right. There's no
Yeah.
child that said, I want to be a tax collector. There's no child that said, I want to be a government worker. There's no
No.
children that say that. So it's getting in touch again with that inner self. People can start out by journaling. They can start out by going to workshops. There's many, many kinds of activities in communities that will help people who are defined as seniors to actually take a look at maybe the skills that they've acquired in their work life and maybe how they can apply those skills towards something either to help others or to find their own meaning and purpose. And then there's always the limitations that are experienced by people as we age when their physical mobility is challenged or their physical capacity is challenged. And that's the part of aging that gets really challenging because even when you say, I'm not naive when I say aging joyfully. It doesn't mean that you don't have the prevalent aches and pains or, right now I'm tending to my mom. She's in the hospital. She fell last week and it's very dramatic when they fall and she's 91. And
Mm.
so, here I am, the gerontologist there. I'll tell anybody, yes, I'm a doctor, but you'll die on my watch. I'll do the research. I'll help you write a paper, but I don't know what to tell you to do. So I am working in concert with the doctors to really help her regain her mobility. When I was at Miami University, the Scripps Gerontology Center, it's only one of two in the country. Their primary work is on dementia and falling. Because once people start falling, then they develop this fear of falling, and so they won't move. So we have to do a lot of work to get people to regain their confidence. All I can really say is that uh, exercise is still what's happening. If you can maintain your foot, your calf, and your thigh strength, you are less likely to fall.
Mm.
And so we need to do that. We need to help people to really stay strong and do the PT if it's prescribed and walk. Walking is turning out to be the very best free exercise there is and the antidote to sitting, which they say is the new smoking. And many, many people who are old, especially in my mom's age group, they sit an awful lot. So
Mm.
there's a lot to this whole idea of being able to find joy. There's joy in community. We Many, many people thrive in more social environments. Some people desire to be alone. They've worked all their lives and now they want to be alone and they want to paint or listen to music or play music themselves. It's highly individualized because as we age along the life course, we have the possibility of becoming more true to ourselves. And those are the voices that we need to really listen to. I'm hearing lately that 80 is like really where it's at, 80 plus, because you really are not listening to other people's voices during that age period. You really can hear your own voice loud and clear. And what we even call stubbornness is not necessarily that. That's a value judgment. The truth of the matter is we spend a lot of our lives being inauthentic. And so as we age, which is probably why you're enjoying aging, Sandra, as I am, we get more opportunity to be our authentic selves. We get to be our true selves.
Mm-hmm.
We are less inclined to do what society thinks we should be doing. We're less inclined to fit into quote unquote norms that no longer suit us. There's
Mm-hmm.
an incredible freedom that comes the longer you live. And so then it becomes incumbent upon you to also be able to manifest your joy. There's joy in working out. There's joy in drinking water and lots of it. You know, there's joy, that my partner's father and my mother could win a Pepsi contest. That generation did not really drink water, you
Mm.
know? So it's just we're improving. We're learning more and more about how to live healthily, how to live joyfully, creatively, fluently, meaning allowing more of our true self to manifest. And that's where the real joy and the real liberation comes from, is when we can be in sync with our own deepest desires. We're no longer just trying to fulfill roles. Roles begin to fall away, and we can tune in more to, again, our true selves. So I too am enjoying the aging process. I like the challenge of it, and I also like the fact that not everybody who grows older is wise. Some people just get older. Not everybody matures, and not everybody gets wise. We can also fight those kind of ageist thoughts too. That's why I was talking to Kelly. In gerontology, we don't use the word elders. We don't refer to older people as elderly. We call them older adults. Elderly is very loaded. And calling someone an elder implies just because they're old, they're wise. That's not necessary. So anyway, that's
We have a
conversation.
question in the chat from
Okay.
Karen Winkler.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Williams.
Yeah, hi.
I was thinking about what you were saying about how laughter sloughs off all of that negative energy, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I know several of us are in the Twin Cities, in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of anxiety, frustration, fear, terror, et cetera. And some of us are also getting out and protesting. And I thought, I understand how much of other emotions are out there that are not joy. But this could be, I don't know how it would start, but it could be a way of showing the people who are here to terrorize us that we're not afraid by laughing, by getting the crowd to start to laugh when they go out to the federal building, because they're there yelling, but what they don't expect is a crowd of people laughing at them.
Well,
I don't know. I would love to hear from the other people here.
Anytime we've been at war, I know during 9/11 I was still traveling. There were signs in the airport that no jokes could be made about bombs or anything like that. If you study, there's a book called Revolutionary Laughter. And in that book, it talks about any time that there's a revolution or any kind of war, governments crack down on laughter and humor. Because of there's a scholar called Izzy Gazelle, and he called humor the language of the oppressed. If you really look at Jewish people, Black people, any minority group that you can think of, Italians, they all have their own humor. And when you began talking, I really understood. My dissertation was on how humor contributes to the health and well-being of older Black lesbians. First of all, older. There was almost no literature on lesbians and nothing on Black lesbians. And I had to go through 3 committees because one was homophobic, one was why you're doing this work, and finally someone said, I believe in what you're talking about. Because and so it really helped me. I'm going to share a quote here from Barbara Harris Combs, a Black female scholar, shared in her critical analysis on racism, racial justice, and joy. She says, quote, "Joy and laughter are my companions on this journey. But the joy I have does not come because everything is all right. Instead, it comes from a radical resolve to choose joy in a world of pain."
Oh, love that.
Okay. So we experience joy through laughter, and it's related to survival and resilience. That's why every ethnic group in America has a very strong relationship with humor, because it was a survival tool. If you read, all of a sudden his name just slipped my mind, but he's written about his experiences in concentration camp. And he said late at night, they would be laughing, telling each other stories and laughing. Along with the traditions that we have as Americans, storytelling is really foundational for everybody in this culture. We love stories. And the stories we love the most are the ones that have some kind of moral spin to them and humor. We love a good, funny story. And so I agree with what you're saying. In some cities, I've seen at the protests, they've had clowns. People
Mm-hmm.
who are dressing up as clowns and going out and kind of whipping up the crowd to laugh. Okay. It's equally as dangerous, believe me. However, it is a form of a protest as well. So I'm definitely, understanding why you feel that way about it. Laughing together builds solidarity. Laughing together builds a cultural identity. So let's just say, if your idea caught on and around
Mm-hmm.
the country, people were having like laughing circles at these protests, it would identify that group by the action that they're taking. You see what I'm saying? So really,
Mm-hmm.
these ideas are really revolutionary because you're right. Just yelling and screaming and expressing your anger is one way to do it. And yet there are other ways to do it, because when you laugh in the face of pain or tragedy, or even in the face of terror, it sends a message that says, I am whole. I am unto myself. You can't harm me. And that's very, very real. Humor is very, very powerful.
Can I
Thank
add
you so
something
much
real
for
quick?
asking.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Who's
go
that?
ahead, Deb.
I've seen on Instagram some videos of ice agents slipping on ice, and everybody's laughing at that. So I think that's really therapeutic.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw an ice. I mean, there was so many riffs that were going on with that one.
Yeah. Partly because they don't know how to do ice.
Yeah.
You know.
Jared, what they're talking about is there was a clip that was going around that they turned into a meme where an ice agent was running after somebody and he hit a patch of ice and hit his butt and slid a fair amount of, yeah. So ice on ice.
I have a lot of compassion for what you're going through there. And you'll notice, there's so many ways to observe what's going on, Many of the protests do not have Black and brown people in them, because when Black and brown people show up, so do the police.
Yeah.
And white people have been observing that.
There was
There's no way we would laugh about someone being dragged behind a truck. There's all kinds of things that are not laughable that we've had to live through in this country. That's why I'm a really big proponent of the healing power of humor, because it's a weapon that we can bring out of ourselves to give us the strength to be able to deal with what's going on in that outside world.
There was part of the protests there at Parterham Park. They had a band playing,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't laughter, but it definitely brought joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely copied that and send that around, because I want people to see that in Minnesota, we're not just, going to be reactive. We're going to lean in.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else has seen that. It was at Powderhorn just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of a drum circle and song circle that we all did, and sang healing songs as a community, and had some powerful matriarchs share words of healing. And so that I believe art is very powerful and very healing.
Absolutely.
We also had a painter next to us that was having the community add on to the painting. So, yeah.
I mean, any type of artistic, creative endeavor that we're using to be able to counter this negativity, because unfortunately, most peaceful people are pretty quiet. And so it looks as though evil is winning and evil is prevailing. The reality is that the more that we unify, even around this just small group here, talking about humor, about I know that someone was talking about children earlier. Children laugh 200 to 300 times a day. It's research says this, right? Current research also said that most adults laugh 17 times a day. And we know people that don't laugh 17 times a month because life just becomes this very serious venture rather than an adventure. And we tie things in to our ego and a knowingness that children are free from. For instance, when I used to take my sons to the park, and my son would say, Mommy, I want you to meet my best friend. And I'd say, well, what's his name? Oh, I don't know. Well, where does he live? Oh, I don't know. Well, is he coming back here tomorrow? I don't know, but he's my best friend. Right? That's an adventure, right? You just meet that person, you're liking that person, you're enjoying that person in the moment. As we go along the life course, we got to know their name, their social security number, where they live, how much do they make, who are their parents, what's their ethnic group, what are their beliefs, what's their politics, all of that stuff. And what happens, why humor is, in particular, laughter is so important, is because it roots you in the present moment. When you laugh, you can't think about the past and you can't think about the future. You're absolutely in this present moment. And we have so few times in our lives when we are rooted in the present moment. Some of you are already thinking about what you were doing before this, and you're thinking about what you're going to be doing after this. It's very challenging for us to stay right here. But when you laugh, that's it. You're right there. You're right in that moment. And there's a difference between laughter and humor. Like I said, laughter is an expression of spontaneous joy. Humor involves the intellect. And so once you involve the intellect, that's where the racism comes in, the sexism, the homophobia, the classism, all those isms begin to just go berserk because the mind is at work. But when you just laugh like you just did, it's pure. It's just the purest sound ever. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Karen. So
Yeah.
I think all of us know somebody older in our life that is very negative, that's just, one negative thing after the next. What would you suggest of something we can say to that person at some point to try to curb that or bring them to their joy?
Are you
Is that
happy?
possible? Are you
Are
happy?
you happy? Do you feel joy right now? What would bring you joy? How do you bring joy out of your life? What makes you happy? It could be a bowl of Jello, and then you could go and get it and watch them eat it. Could be an ice cream. Could be a hug. Things that you could really deliver on. Or it could be that they have so many failed dreams and, so much sadness in their life that you're causing them to sit there and actually think, what would make me happy? What would bring me joy? I'm a very happy person. And yet I've gone through a lot. That PhD was very, very challenging. I found my therapist that I had for 12 years helped me get through the program. I graduated on May 17th, 2025. She died on May 18th, 2025.
Oh, wow. Mm.
I have been sad. I would just burst into tears. I was just sad. And then a friend of mine put it on Facebook that his mom had a little kitty and she could no longer take care of it. And I saw that cute little kitty's face and I said, I'll take it. And I've had that kitten for 6 weeks.
No
And
way.
she's here crawling under my feet right now. And I have been feeling so much joy.
Aw.
That little kitty is reminding me of joy. So whatever it takes, sometimes we don't know what it's going to take. And she's right here right now. If I cry, she's crawling up on me. It's just, and I could not have a pet because I've been on the road for 37 years. So what this cat also represents for me is that I'm planning to be home more so I can take care of the kitty. And I'm doing a lot of different kind of work now so that I don't have to travel and I can be at home. So if you had asked me 6 months, whenever, May or whatever, gee, Karen, I know you feel joy, but you sure look kind of sad. I would have had to agree with you. I was grieving. But this kitten came into my life and I feel joy. So it could be something as profound as that, or it could be something as simple as an ice cream cone. But there really are people who express a lot of negativity are not that happy. Happy people exude positivity. They kind of go hand in hand.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
what are your thoughts? I mean, as far as I think mourning is really important too, and honoring that space that you need to mourn the loss of loved ones, and yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, grief is a tough one. It's a tough one, and it's so highly individualized. I had no idea that the loss, I lost my sister 2 years ago. That was dramatic. I mean, I was with her. She had pancreatic cancer. I was with her when she passed.
Yeah.
Still, I was not prepared for the depth of grief that I felt about losing Leslie. She was more than my therapist. She was a friend. And I was really kind of taken by how sad I felt. So I think that, and I do grief work, so sometimes doing those things doesn't save you from going through experiences yourself. So I've had to use grace. I've had to give myself space. I've had to, I tried finding another therapist and it was too soon. I don't think there's anything she could have done to more than what she did, except she wasn't Leslie. Yeah. And that was okay. And she understood that. She knew her and she had her own feelings as well. So again, we in this culture, if your mom dies, your dad dies, your sister dies, you get 2 days off from work. Right? Maybe 3. But,
well, and then the funeral is what, like 50 minutes.
Right. It's supposed to cap it off, right?
Yeah, it's like, and then you're like, oh yeah, and you got to get back to just reality.
Reality. What is reality? Yeah. You find your own rituals. I hope that you find your own rituals, your own meditations, your own prayers, talking with others who are more open to talking about death. In this culture, we do not want to talk about death.
Oh, we don't want to see it.
That's where a lot of the stuff about getting old comes from, is because of that fear of death. So we automatically relate those two together. So it really is incumbent upon us to find a philosophy or a teaching or something that enables us to live life as joyfully as we can, knowing that this is really a one-way street. It's very tough. Yeah. I honor your process. Honor your own process.
Yes. Well, that's good. Yeah, because I feel like there's, it can be good grief, right? Good grief.
Yeah, there is. Excuse me 1 second.
Come
on. I just want to show them your face.
Oh my goodness.
What's their name?
She does this, Randy with an I.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to. She wants to get down and nip at my heel. Anyway, any other questions or comments? Anyone? All right, so there's an anonymous quote that I shared too, where someone was saying, we do not stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. And I really love that because it's true. I think that's why pickleball is such a craze, because it's just don't get hurt out there, because there's people who haven't played. There's all the tennis buffs who haven't played in 20 years and go out and play pickleball. Next thing you know, they've twisted and turned and done things to their bodies. They're saying that the number one injury in emergency rooms today are pickleball injuries. From people who haven't done anything in 20 or 30 years and suddenly get out there and become, enthusiasts. But I love it. And I think it's a really good, fun game. I just don't like to play with people who have that kind of cold, fierce look in their eyes. Killer pickleball players I stay away from. It's supposed to be a fun game. Some people take it very seriously. Any other questions, comments?
What you've been saying has got me thinking about one of the first major ageism things that came out in movies was fried green tomatoes, when Kathy Bates goes in for the parking spot and this little red car zooms right in there and she's like, "Hey," and they said, "We're younger and faster." And so she decides to ram her car and smash theirs up into the spot. And they go, "Oh!" And she says, "I'm older and I have more insurance."
Yeah, that's
And I still think that's relevant today.
yeah. Well, it's not to pit. It's so funny. It's not to pit the younger age people against older age people. It's to say that we need to have respect for the aging process all along the life course. As I told my students, if it takes 40 weeks for a baby, the gestation of a baby, and you have the baby at 26 weeks, it needed to age more. You know what I'm saying? It's aging along the life course. So we go through many different things at different times, and it's not for us to get older and think we know and look down on younger people, and it's not for them to judge us, because anybody who's on this call who's over 35 is probably pretty glad they're not 35. I wouldn't want to be 23. I was so I thought I knew everything at 23. I'm sure I did. I'm one of those. I skipped 2 grades. I got out of high school at 16. I got married at 18. I look at 18-year-olds today and I just think I was nuts or stoned, something. But so it's just like having a lot of, just like we're talking about having a lot of grace for yourself when you're grieving or you're mourning, it's also about having a lot of grace for yourself as you're learning, because hopefully we're going along the life cycle and learning. And I think one of the biggest challenges for us as we get older is to stay open and to stay curious and to be willing to make changes as needed. Something that worked for you 10 or 20 years ago may not work for you today. And so being willing to acknowledge that and make a change is really very, very important for yourself. And it will help you to be more joyful and to realize that, when we laugh, we let go. We let go of the past. We let go of the shame. We let go of the guilt, hurt, humiliation, stress. Laughing can really be that kind of real ultimate stress relief that's really free. And it's up to you, and you can do it at any time. So, why not do it? I had with my institute at one time, I established laughing circles because I saw that they were doing them in India. So I tried to do them here. Americans, we're very spoiled. If it's not a funny joke or a funny mirror movie or something like that, it's hard for us to just decide to laugh. But we can just decide to laugh at something. I probably watch an episode of a sitcom every single day, like before I go to bed. I don't go to bed watching Law and Order.
What sitcom do you usually watch?
I watch old ones. Frasier, Seinfeld, old stuff, very formulaic stuff, really, it's a formula. It works. It's 22 minutes of just well-written laughter.
Can you share with us, Can you share with us what do you remember what one of the most funniest things that happened to you when you went back to grad school or to
One
get
of
your
the
PhD?
funniest?
I mean, yeah.
Mm, no, I don't. I can't think of anything that was really funny. What was challenging was how quickly I was expected to learn things because they, most of the 18 and 19-year-olds have grown up with technology. And so, for example, I had to learn like a software for processing data, but the data I was collecting for my project. And the tutor showed me one time, and then I asked one of the students if he would show me how to do it. He said, I'm going to show you one more time, but you've got to get it. And so I was sparking parts of my brain. I would be chanting and praying for parts of my brain to become illuminated so that I could take this stuff in because it was all so new for me, and especially learning programs and data management stuff. So I think the funniest part is that I was telling people that I was praying to like illuminate, like, they say we only use 7% of our brain. I was asking at least 15% of it to be illuminated so I could get this stuff because it was really challenging.
Hey, Dr. Williams,
Yes,
I have a question. Do
yes.
you think that that growing up in a house of laughter, like if your parents are laugh with each other a lot and make jokes, do you think that that like helps people be lighter, more joyful? I just wonder if some of these people who have less joy grew up in less joyful homes, or if you can overcome that.
Sometimes.
Like my parents were always like, even both of my parents had cancer at the same time.
Mm.
And we knew my dad would pass first, and they were living alone. And my mom told us that she always wanted a dog. She wanted a dog. She wanted a dog. My dad would say no. And when they found out that my dad was going to pass first, he was like, I bet you're going to get a dog, aren't you? As soon as I go, you're going to get a dog. And she said, you won't even be cold yet. And I'm like, that is so inappropriate and so hysterical. Like
That's
to have
so
that
funny.
kind of joy and humor so close to the like an imminent phase of, ending. And I was like, it's gotta rub off on you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's morbid humor.
Sometimes because things get filtered through personality. We had a lot of laughter in my home. Both of my parents are funny, and we also listened to old, like my brother and I last night, we were telling each other old lines we remember from the Richie Pryor records of the 60s, right? And we were just,
Mhm.
like he said, if black people were in horror movies, there wouldn't have been any movies. It would the person the horror creature would have said hello, and we would have said goodbye, you know, and we were remembering those things from those records. But depending on a personality, some people take to laughter and humor. And it doesn't surprise me because if you look at, I started doing stand up 42 years ago. Guys were not happy I was there. I'll just say it just the way it was. Many, many women have infiltrated male only type of workplaces and work. And they were not happy I was there. One year I participated in a comedy competition. I was the only female with 75 guys. They were not happy that I was there. And so because it didn't give them the room to be able to say a lot of the things that they wanted to say if a woman wasn't there. And so, I had to endure through a lot of that. And there wasn't that much funny about it, but I had to still be funny. And so there's a lot of that kind of challenge. And then in doing my workshops, I would find out that many, many people did not have humor in their home. So, and especially people, I hate to say it, but of German backgrounds, not a lot of laughter in the home. And so you hate to be like that, but it's just the truth. And so I would get people who would find it very difficult to laugh, even when they were given permission to laugh, because it was that unfamiliar to them. And because I mentioned about being a female comic with men because there were 10 adjectives that all stand-up comics were aware of. Big, fat, black, ugly, woman was always in there, gay, stupid, and I always forget the other three. But that was the basis of comedy. America has a put down uh, approach to humor. We don't use humor to uplift. So a lot of women did not have a good relationship with humor because we were often the butt of the joke. So the reason that we loved like Roseanne Barr, for example, is because she would say, my husband can't find his socks and he's asking me where are his socks. What does he think? My uterus is a tracking device? And every woman that's been asked, where are my socks across America was cracking up, So that voice was definitely needed, to really, now what did that do? It unified, but it also meant that for the guys that I was working with, that they had to adapt a different way of looking at women just by your presence. And they had to really think about, do I just want all of my humor to be about a body part? And so, our presence there made a difference, So sometimes humor is very political. Sometimes it's very healing, therapeutic, revolutionary. It has a lot of aspects to it. In my institute, because it's called the International Institute of Humor and Healing Arts, I focus a lot on the healing aspects of humor.
Thank you, Karen. Did you want to talk about your book at all?
Well,
the healing one?
Yes, I'm actually finishing up my Living the Laughter Lifestyle book. It's an 8-day program for bringing out your joy. So it will be out sometime in 2026. I'm very excited about it.
Awesome.
So thank you very much for this opportunity. And before we close, we're going to close our eyes again and we're going to laugh. All right, everybody? Is everybody ready? All right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Sam, you can stop recording.